what I'm thinking is I want to build a motor as an exercise here with what I have laying around. Well, another year. Happy 2025, everyone. This is going to be a third year of the Auto Refinery video series of building these cars, but this is where we're at. Mr. Jones is waiting in its slumber. We're waiting for some parts. You've been up to speed on that. For those who haven't taken note of all this stuff in the corner here, let me tell you what we have going here. And this is what we're going to be working on incidentally in between all kinds of other stuff. These are all the engines we have in stock that are out of cars. This is the original engine to the W31 we refer to as Mr. Jones. VIN number is on the block. That engine is important to us. This is the original 326 Pontiac engine for the 67 Le Mans that's outside. It has a 75-400 in it now. That engine is very important to us. This is the original L34 350 horse 396 out of the 68 SS 396 El Camino. VIN number is on this. This engine is very important to us. These other engines down here happen to be Oldsmobile 350s. They are not to a car that we own. They were never to cars that we own. There's two seized engines on the property. One is in the Rally 350 and one is right here. This complete engine I got from Mike, our engine builder. I got this engine when we were doing Alyssa's convertible. This one I got from a friend of ours, Yolan. That is not technically a complete motor. It's a block. It's got wrong heads in it. It's got a crank with a couple rods in there, but it's basically a stripped block. This one is a complete, never been taken apart block by me anyway. So what I'm going to do and what I'm proposing is that we're going to start working on some engines here. We're going to need Mike's help along the way, no doubt. But it's time that we add to our repertoire of services here, and it is time that we crack into some of these motors. But this one being seized, I think could be interesting. When somebody says an engine is seized, we don't know why. Why is it seized? Well, I think what we're going to do is take this one apart together and figure out what we figure out. So let me wheel this thing out, and we'll go through it a little bit and then just start ripping into it. And you and I are going to discover together why that motor won't turn over. I figured before we tore into this thing, I'd go over some of the numbers. Everybody knows how I love part numbers. So let's talk about that. On an Oldsmobile 350, let's talk about the 68 to 76 species of engine block. You're going to see this part number. It's a casting number, not a stamping. It's actually cast into the block. 395558, and you'll see a large 2. That casting is for all Oldsmobile 350 blocks, 68 to 76. Now, we really play around with 68 to 72s, and you'll be able to date code that. You can come down here to the pad underneath the cylinder head on the driver's side. There's a embossed block, tab on the actual engine block. Like battery ground cable goes here. So this will help you identify what year that car was that this engine came out of, along with where this was built. 3 is going to be the first digit you're going to see on an Oldsmobile, because 3 is the third division allocation for General Motors. 1 is Chevy, 2 is Pontiac, 3 is Oldsmobile. 3, that is an 8. So that tells us that this is a 1968 Oldsmobile, followed by an M for Lansing, Michigan. So we know it's a 1968 Oldsmobile built in Lansing, Michigan. And the last 6 of the VIN are simply from the car it came out of. This looks like it says 255, 255, 435, 405. Like I said, 255, 470. 38M, 255, 470. You see these curved lines in that? That is the actual mark that the original machine left at the factory where this was cast. So we know this has not been ground down and re-stamped. So we know this is for a 68. 68 happens to be the first year of a 350 because 67 was the last year of a 330. First date code we'll see is a 12. 12th day of the year, this intake manifold was cast. Let's go back over to the back of the engine block behind the distributor, and you're going to see there's the date code for the engine block, 13. The CFD, Central Foundry Division. That's just actually the foundry that cast the block. 13 is the 13th day. Now we're going to say it's the 13th day of 1968 because it's a 68 production engine. It wouldn't be the 13th day of 67. Now it'd still be a 67 production engine. That would be a 330. So we know this is a 68 Lansing built Oldsmobile, built on the 13th day of the year with a 12th day of the year intake with a 4-barrel. So we know this is the L74 Oldsmobile. The L74 means it's a 4-barrel, not a 2-barrel. It's got number 5 heads on it. Everybody gets excited when they see number 5 heads. The reality is, number 5 was just the casting for all 350 cylinder heads from 1968 and 1969. Does not mean W31 heads. Although, all W31 heads in 68 and 69 had to be 5s. Doesn't mean all 5s are W31s. All 5s are just the heads that were on 350s from 68 and 69. 69 and 68 W31s, Ramrod 350s got larger valves. So let's get into this block and see what's going on in there. All right, here we go. Let's start by starting, and let's get the valve covers off. Well, it's not totally disgusting, but it's definitely dry. Somebody's taken it apart and left stuff out of it. Look how dry that is, but it hasn't been run in years and years. Whoa! That's a lot of rust down in around the push rods. A lot of rust on the rocker bridges. This is pretty funky stuff here. And I'm thinking this is where we're going to start. All right, so blew everything off, hit it with a little bit of the W and the D. Christmas time. That ratchet I have right there, that Craftsman 943797, that's part of that socket set that my dad got me for Christmas in 1988. I got that car. Shall we? No, sir. No, sir. Oh, I guess. Uh-oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Distributor, stuck. Let's zip the intake off. Oh, I don't want to do that because that's not... Oh, look at that. No problems. That's it. Here we go. The big unveil. Holy Truth be told, will it run? Don't care. Wouldn't try it. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, that's a no-go. That's a negative. Yeah, that thing is stuck. There it is. I'm going to do this with two hands, I think. Let me see. Maybe not. Maybe I can get this off while you guys sit here and... Okay, ready? There it is. Okay. I cannot turn the crank and the pistons. Nope. So it's the next day, and I'm doing some evaluating of all my Oldsmobile parts. Right in front of us here, 1, 2, 3. 3 Oldsmobile 350s that need to be built. I'm not counting the one outside in the rally. This is the one we just took apart. Block can be saved. Probably can't be saved with a hone. Probably needs a light bore at the very least. But what I'm thinking is I want to build a motor as an exercise here with what I have laying around. I'm glad getting back to the Oldsmobile small block series here that I'm attempting to do. It's all in my mind here. Joe and I kind of have figured out. Gonna switch gears one more time with respect to what engine I think we're gonna put together. Let me spin the camera around and show you what I've determined on the one we took apart and why I think we're going to back burner that one right now. So to more clearly define why this engine was seized, what I can tell you is the pistons were not stuck to the cylinders. The rockers in the heads were not stuck to the bridges. The valves were not stuck in the heads. What was stuck were the lifters in the lifter bore. The distributor was seized in the block, but the distributor shaft itself was not seized. What was stuck? Main bearings were stuck to the block. Some of the rod bearings were stuck. But what is unanimously stuck is all 8 wrist pins. Every single one of these wrist pins not moving. I cannot get the pistons to swivel at all. These are the original V-notch pistons that came out of this L74 motor. Again, piston identification is as follows. V-mark, singular V-mark, 310 horse 4-barrel, high compression. A round mark, a singular round mark would be the standard 350 with a 2-barrel, 250 horse. The W31, a non-dished, meaning a flat piston, with a V and a round mark. That would mean it's the original pistons for a W31. We know, again, these pistons are original because aftermarket pistons don't have these marks. So let's swap these things around, get that nasty block on that roll-around stand, get this decent block up on the engine stand. All right, I made a lot of progress. Ken stopped over today, gave me a hand moving some stuff around. And that was a big help because I have a tendency to pick these empty blocks up by myself and move them around. I mean, it's not that big a deal. There's no crank in them. But still, they're about 200 pounds apiece, the Pontiac, the Oldsmobile. Okay. So what I'm planning is to build this engine. This is a late 68, November 29th of 68. 334th day of 68 for a 69 build. This is a low compression 250 horse 2-barrel motor. It's got 7A heads, but they're relatively fresh. This is the intake off of the other motor that we took apart. Check all this out. These are all parts I have in stock. Valley pan, which is intake gasket. Oil filter housing, obviously oil filters, another carburetor, a fuel pump, thermostat, spark plugs, water pump, pulleys, rockers. What's in this box here? Push rods, valve springs, box of oil pumps. we're going to build this stock motor with what we have in stock. How about that for an exercise, as this is all manifested on its own? The fun part of this, I'm going to try to build this stock Oldsmobile with parts I have in stock. Now, I have to buy main bearings, rod bearings, piston rings. I don't even know that I'm going to put a brand new cam in it. I have cam and lifters that are matched. I have valve springs. I even have, you guys might kill me, not going anywhere. I even have W and Z exhaust manifolds. They're 70. They're big block manifolds. The ports are different size. We're going to put them on. We're just going to run it on a stand. I got a 74 Quadrajet. It did run. So I'm going to get on the computer and order some parts for this. I even have used but not clapped out timing chain and gear sets. We're just going to run this engine on a stand. You know, I have timing chain and gear sets that I could put on a thing and it's going to run. This is going to be fun. We're going to use everything we got. Consolidate some parts. See how it goes. I just got off the phone with Joe and I'm thinking I'm getting pretty excited about this little fun project. Only because we need to build some motors here. It's going to be a nice exercise to get one of the engines here running. And nothing makes me happier than being able to do it with what I have in stock. What this is a very not exciting 2-barrel intake. It's the original intake off of Alyssa's car. And I'm considering using it because this car's got low compression, round groove pistons in it. And I happen to have the original 2-barrel air cleaner. So I think that's the route I'm going. I have the 2-barrel intake that's going to come off of the El Camino. I'm not keeping that a 2-barrel. I think that's what we might do. So let's get back at, we're prepping this small block for a little bit of a in-stock rebuild. I did get to stone honing a little bit inside the block. There's definitely some signs of imperfections. We're going to run it. We're going to see how it goes. Cleaned up okay. There's definitely a little bit of a... Look, if we get into boring it, then we got to buy pistons, and then we're going to blow the budget. And the budget is we have no budget. We have no extra money for this. But I also want to just clean this thing up. Get wire wheeling on this a little bit. Just so it looks like we have a little bit something better to work with. Need to really take advantage of these warm January days. This is the engine block we're building. It's outside. I'm going to give it a bath. I've already given it a bath and some CLR and some degreaser, flushed out the coolant passages, just kind of defunked the whole thing. Going to give it another soak of Simple Green. Then we'll spray it down with some WD in the cylinders and just do, we'll clean up the hones again. Obviously, things are looking okay. Things are looking okay. Blocks cleaned, Simple Green, hose down, coolant passages blown out. Cylinders are just rehoned a little bit because I was getting some flash rust, obviously, from cleaning it. And they're wiped down with oil. Took like 800 grit on a nice flat piece of steel and just kind of cleaned up the top of the block. It's really nice when you have an pre-built block. Here's the original mill marks from when that block was done. We're gonna just wrap this thing in a and a little towel and put it to the side for now. I'm going to replace the cam bearings. So that stuff is coming, and we do have a broken bolt here that has to be drilled out. But I think what I want to do, like I said, I'm going to cover it up in there. We're going to get one of these cylinder heads up on the bench. And I think I have a valve marked NG. I'm not quite sure why I have a valve marked NG, but it must be no good. So let's get maybe some stuff cleaned up over here. We'll get a cylinder head up on the bench. So let's take a look at why this thing is labeled no good. You see the little star there? It says NG on that valve, and I'm not totally sure why I did that. So let's take a look and see. I hope it doesn't have a bad valve. See, I don't know why I have this valve labeled no good. It's not burnt. It's pretty clean. It's certainly straight. Let's put it back together, and maybe we'll put some soapy water in there and see what it looks like. Maybe I fixed it at one point. Cleaning up parts, and I see this piston here. This is piston number 6. It's pretty beat up. I'm guessing one of the piston skirts that fell off another one of the pistons is what got jammed in here. And number 6, passenger side, 246. Look at that nice groove in the cylinder. I'm guessing from this bad boy. Right? We know the notch goes forward, which means the piston goes in the cylinder this way. That groove right there that my pinky is on coincides with that groove right there. So let's see what we have, because we know this is a B piston. So you'll see here, if we can go, oh, the other side's on the low side. So we have B, 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 B. All of the passenger side 2, 4, 6, 8 cylinders on this block are B's. So I have 2 B pistons. That's a B. It's really nasty. This is a B. These are out of Alyssa's convertible, the Mary car. Gonna clean both of these up and see which one is viable. If you need something, go through your trove of stuff and see what you have. We've already replaced a missing piston, and we've already replaced 2 pistons that had cracked skirts. So let's see about getting rings off of these, clean these things up. If it's viable, we'll press it off that rod. Let's see what we can get accomplished here in the way of getting rings off the piston. They are stuck in there good. They've been in there for a long, long time. Just want to see what kind of groove I have here to. Oh boy, there's a lot of, see that? There's a lot of junk on this piston. Oh boy, this is all just oxidation and corrosion. All right, okay, I'm back. Let's see what we have here. This is the one we want to try to save. Let's just see here. Obviously, if any of these ring lands on this piston are broken, then we're SOL with this piston. You know, the piston is not what runs in the cylinder, right, guys? It's the rings. So, against the cylinder wall. Oh, man, that's really... We may have to soak this thing, because these pistons are just stuck. So just like anything else, when you're taking apart something that has not been taken apart in forever. I mean, these rings are literally seized to the pistons. So they're coming off in pieces. They can just get so much crap in between them and the ringland and the piston, and you don't want to go gorilla in the thing because you don't want to crack the piston. But I cannot even get, like, there's only this much section of this ring in there, and it's stuck. So we're just going to keep soaking it and keep scrubbing it, flushing that nonsense out of there. Also, we can use used pistons. Let me see here if I can get this one opened up while you guys are with me without cracking the piston. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. But without getting the whole thing to float on the piston, you know, once you start opening it up, it's just a cast piston ring. It's going to break. It's going to break. I cannot get these to budge. This side is not coming loose. This one is loose a little bit. So let's just keep soaking it. Take a break. I'm getting some text messages, so I'll respond to those. And just let that thing sit there and effervesce, and it's